Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Crypto markets continue to scare the ever-loving hell out of certain people, with XRP tanking along with Bitcoin and the rest of the market. And sure, it's certainly possible the market may go down in the short term. In fact, there are a lot of analysts that think that is indeed what's most probable. But even so, it's always the case that eventually markets come roaring back anyway. And I personally am not convinced that we've entered a bear market or anything like that, despite this short-term price action. But still, whatever's happening in the moment, in the short term, that's what captures people, and people make silly-ass financial decisions based on their feels in the short term. And I get that. People can people. So what's going on with XRP specifically, as well as the rest of the market? Well, as far as it pertains to XRP, and you can see a headline here, XRP forms crucial support as insane selling pressure wears off. And there's also a separate story here, Doge XRP Cardano meteoric rise on metric signal. And I'll just tell you this at the outset of the video. We'll get into the specifics a little bit later. But they're highlighting that a particular metric tracked by an on-chain analytics firm shows that XRP today is undervalued. But isn't that always how it goes? It's undervalued until one day you wake up and it's not. And eventually, and this has happened with XRP in the past, it's happened with Bitcoin, ETH, Bitcoin. Eventually, we have crazy runs, the market, of course, moving in tandem, and then things will be overvalued. Like, there will be a day when you'll wake up and you'll hear me saying, XRP is overvalued. That's going to happen. Right now, to me, this just represents, if anything, opportunity. And I think that a lot of people, if they're in the mood to be increasing their positions, are viewing it like that. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 1:12 a.m. Central Time, so a little late here. And what the hell day is it? Right, so Monday, July 8th, 2024. Although I don't count it technically as Monday on this channel until I go to sleep and wake up. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's still Sunday. But as I record this, XRP is at 41 cents, Bitcoin at 55,389 bucks, Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 28 out of 100. So the market's most certainly in fear. In fact, we haven't been at this level of fear since September. Here, take a look at this. Here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Tracked for, oh wait, let me make sure this is on the 1 year. Yeah, it is on the 1 year. So here you have September 12th. That's the lowest, it's the closest it's been. It was at 30 out of 100 on September 12th. End of the world, right? And of course, as we were at those levels and we were in fear, I said, as I always do, at some unknown point in the future, we will be back in extreme greed. And oh, did we get there? We ended up getting to 90 out of 100 on March 5th of this year. So you could cry yourself to sleep all you want on September 12th, and you didn't know exactly what was going to unfold. I mean, you do now. Was it really worth any sort of lost sleep or anything? No, time passed, and the market went cray. And so if you have a sufficient time horizon, none of this matters. If you have a sufficient time horizon and you understand that this asset class isn't going to go away, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is why, as I've been saying in recent days, because it is worth repeating, even if the analysts who say we're not going into a bear market, even if they're wrong, and we're in a bear market for years, the market will come roaring back at some point anyway, so why would you lose sleep over anything anyway? It just doesn't make logical sense. And so, of course, months ago, as we were in, again, beginning of March, we were in extreme greed. I warned that at some point in the future, even if it wouldn't be the next day, or particularly soon, at some point we would be in fear, in extreme fear. And so we're back in fear right now. Now, I don't think that means we're outside the confines of a bull rally. You should expect major pullbacks like this, even in a bull market. And so I'll now say, since we're in fear, at some unknown point in the future, we will be in extreme greed again. So why have negative emotions about this? It's just a fact. Like, it's gonna go up. I just don't pretend to know when. It doesn't mean every single coin is gonna hit a new all-time high ever again. I'm not making claims like, but if you're talking about the asset class as a whole, yeah, it's a little baby asset class. It's existed for 15 years. There's almost no money in it compared to like the stock market or real estate. Pick an asset class, precious metals. There's almost no money in it. That's why we have this opportunity for life-changing wealth. Like, this is a time to be excited as far as I'm concerned. And I very genuinely mean that. But still, I'm just as interested in you, even though I'm not going to change what I'm doing from an investment perspective. I'm just as curious as you about what's going to happen in the short term, and I'd prefer things happen sooner than later, but if they don't, like, I'm still patient AF. It's not going to change my perspective on things, but I am curious. And so here's a post from chart analyst Matthew Hyland, and he actually cited a level we need to hit to invalidate this the bullish narrative that well, many analysts still believe we're, because most analysts that I follow, I'll just say this. Actually, I'm not sure if there's a single analyst that I follow that thinks that this means we are now in a bear market. I don't think of one single one of them. There are some who acknowledge it's uncertain. We need more data to be more confident. Fair enough. But that's about as far as I've seen anyone go. But there's a particular level that would invalidate the argument that we move to the upside and we're in a bull run. And this level was cited by Matthew Hyland, and also it was cited by chart analyst Credible Crypto, so that popped out at me. And so here's what Matthew Hyland had to say, and he's got this Bitcoin USD chart here, and he got, of course, the RSI on the bottom, Relative Strength Index, and he says, Bitcoin has confirmed a weekly breakdown out of the multi-month consolidation range. Bitcoin still remains in an uptrend. It would need to go below $38,000 to end the uptrend, so the uptrend is still fully intact. However, with this weekly breakdown, it opens the doors for lower price targets. So folks, that's the level, $38,000. And some of you may have saw that I referenced a post from Credible Crypto probably within the last week and a half, where he did cite specifically $38,000. He's like, look, it would take a lot of sell pressure to get to that point, and if it actually goes below that, then fine. Yes, structure's invalidated. We got some bear stuff to talk about. Is that possible? Sure. Is it probable? No. It's not probable. I personally don't think. Because everything that we're seeing that you should expect for this point in the cycle is happening. Why would I think this time is magically different? It's not. History rhymes with itself, right? And then he says, in order for Bitcoin to invalidate this, it would need to close weekly back in the range. However, this outcome of Bitcoin closing back in the range has a lower probability due to the close below on the current weekly close. The weekly RSI has nearly pulled back to the August/September lows of last year when Bitcoin was trading at $25,000. Another red weekly candle would likely push the RSI lower, which would then give opportunity for bullish divergence. And so he certainly thinks we could go lower. He also says it doesn't change what's happening on a higher time frame. Big picture, bull run, yes, number ultimately go up. Here's a post from chart analyst Tony Severino. This is a Bitcoin USD chart, and he simply wrote, Bitcoin closed below the lower Bollinger Band on the weekly. This is a sell signal. More downside is probable. Now, I follow enough of his stuff to know that he doesn't think that we're suddenly in a bear market. He's talking about the short term. More downside isn't just possible, but probable. And I am seeing that from a fair number of analysts. Again, I just haven't seen one that says, yes, in the short term, number probably go down, but also we're in a bear market and we're not going to hit new highs. I haven't seen that. Now, you can find people saying that on the internet, but out of the analysts that I personally deem to be reputable, not one single one of them. There's this post from Chartingguy, and he said $48,000 to $52,000 for Bitcoin seems like the play now. So he does think that it's certainly possible, if not probable, in the short term, you could be seeing those types of prices. Not the end of the world. It really isn't. And by the way, just to be clear, he is not actually bearish here. He is very, very bullish. There's also this post from Mikey Bull Crypto, and this is where it really starts to get interesting. We got to talk a bit about XRP too. So check this out. This is a Bitcoin post, but the metric that he's citing here in this post was also applied by an on-chain analytics firm to XRP and a bunch of other coins. This you'll find interesting because it indicates XRP right now is undervalued. And I would just say, like, I believe that's true, even looking outside of that metric. Look, just my subjective opinion of where XRP price is, seeing that we haven't had a new all-time high in 6.5 years, but all the adoption keeps increasing from a fundamental perspective, all that. Yeah, the whole 9 yards. XRP is clearly undervalued. Even if you're not a chart guy, you can come to that reasonable conclusion. Now, you can also come to that reasonable conclusion by looking at various metrics if you're a chart analyst. And I'm not a chart guy, but I do find this stuff interesting, even though I don't want to chart stuff on my own. That would bore me to tears. But I'm interested in the perspectives based on real-world data that chart analysts share. And so he said, Bitcoin cycle top is not in yet. I reiterate. This metric has been top-notch for spotting the bottom and top in every cycle. And what is he talking about? What is this metric that's being displayed towards the bottom part of your screen here and applied to multiple cycles? That is the MVRV ratio. Now, since I'm not a chart guy, I needed to refresh myself on exactly what this one means. And certain stuff like this, I remember just because I've had enough repetition over years. This one is one that I was like, oh yeah, what the hell's that one again? And then I was like, oh yeah, that one. So in a nutshell, all you need to know is if you're not a chart guy, and again, I'm not, all you need to know is that the MVRV, which stands for market value to realized value, is a comparison of the market value of an asset against the value stored in the asset. And so this is how they're wording it right here. So the market cap, what's comparing the MVRV, comparing the market cap and realized cap. The market cap, of course, is the current value of supply, which is the market value of the asset. So whatever the price is now. The realized cap is the cost basis of the supply. And they write here value stored in the asset. So what did people pay for that asset? And you can help it. So then if you realize that, you can figure out what percentage of holders are underwater in what they purchased and how many are in profit. So so then they're tracking it's comparing those two. So that's what this is tracking. And that's the reason that it's valuable. And here, first, I'll show you how it applies to Bitcoin. Then we're going to highlight, because it's covered in an article, how it applies to XRP and some other coins. And so, again, what he said here, this metric, MVRV, has been top-notch for spotting the bottom and top in every cycle. So Mikey Bull Crypto citing this, I've seen this cited by many other analysts that I respect and follow. And this is a chart going back to 2012. So we never saw, in history, with Bitcoin, we have never seen the top or bottom of a market with the MVRV ratio of Bitcoin that we have right now. It has never happened. And if you are looking at the screen, and if you can look, if you're not driving or something, it's worth doing so. We're like kind of roughly in the middle, maybe a little bit below the middle mark, fine. Man, this perfectly tracks. It's just one thing. It's nothing is the end all be all, but it's worth being aware of this. That's why I'm taking time on the channel to highlight this. And it has never failed. Is this going to be the time it failed? Well, I doubt it. And it shouldn't be surprising if you just think about it logically. You don't have to be a chart guy to understand this stuff. If you reach a point where enough people bought an asset and it keeps going up in price and there's a lot of unrealized profit, then when that gets high enough, eventually somebody's going to cry uncle and be like, okay, this is too big a percentage of my net worth. I'm going to start selling. Or I got to lock in this profit. It's way up from where I bought it. Got to do it. That makes logical sense, right? And again, this is what we're tracking, what the price is now versus whether, to what degree people are either down on the investment or up in the investment. So you're comparing those things. And so also, when you can see you're at the lower end here, where I'm circling, well, in those moments, that's when stuff's undervalued, right? So if it's undervalued, you've already had a bunch of people capitulate. What's most likely to then occur? What's most likely to occur is accumulation, which is exactly what you saw at the bottom of the 2022 bear market. That's exactly what we saw with the collapse of FTX, everything. And then it's been creeping up since then. It doesn't go up in a straight line. Of course not. You're never going to see that. But that it logically tracks. You can see why I wanted to highlight this, I'm sure, right? And so to think that it's most probable that this will be the first time in history it's different, I just don't think that's probable. It's one more thing to look at. We're far from the peak. And we know that there are pullbacks and bull runs. So isn't that more likely? It's, again, one more thing to consider here. So I would certainly say yes, but you can apply this to any asset. And so this article from You Today, Doge, XRP, Cardano, meteoric rise on metric signal. So check this out. They apply this to XRP, on-chain analytics firm Sentiment does actually. This is just You Today covering it. And XRP and a bunch of other coins. So check this out. I don't need to read the whole thing. Let me get to the relevant portion here. It might be here. Amid the current market uncertainty, a metric that has recently drawn attention is the 30-day market value to realized value, the MVRV ratio. According to on-chain analytics firm Sentiment, this metric might serve as an indicator for assessing the risk and timing of investments, especially in the short term. The MVRV ratio is a comparison of the market capitalization of a cryptocurrency against its realized cap. And so again, I already cited what that is. They're just saying, what's the price now, comparing it to Are people at a loss on what they invested in, or are they in the green, right? So then they say the 30-day MVRV specifically measures the average profit or loss of investors who purchased the asset within the past month. A lower 30-day MVRV suggests that the crypto asset is undervalued and may indicate a dip buying opportunity with less risk. Dogecoin, XRP, and Cardano are significantly down from their 2024 highs, with the recent selling in the market exacerbating losses. However, Santiment's recent analysis utilizing the 30-day MVRV ratio offers a glimmer of hope. Based on the 30-day MVRV, Santiment lists major cryptocurrencies with the lowest to highest risk of dip buy potential presently. The percentages provided for Doge, XRP, and Cardano are as follows. And I'm just going to pull up the actual post in a second here. But they write they're negative percentages. So they write these negative percentages imply that these coins are currently undervalued according to the MVRV metric, suggesting that there is comparatively lesser risk involved in opening or adding to positions in the short term. These figures could also be signaling a potential price comeback for these cryptocurrencies. And so here's the post from Santiment, and you can see that XRP is listed here. And so there are some that are even more undervalued at the time they posted this a couple days ago. So Doge, 19.7%, Litecoin, 15%, for example, and you got XRP here at the time, negative, and these are all negative, by the way, negative 10.1%. And so that's the reason that I wanted to highlight this. So again, as far as what it means for Bitcoin, like, it's a metric that has never failed. Is this time different? I mean, you can see where we're at. Look where he highlighted this in blue. And again, we went back to Bitcoin here. But look for each of the previous cycles. Like, yeah, it did this. Like, it did this. It just did. And then we went way, way, way higher in price. And then applying this metric to that time period results in this. That's what it's showing. So knowing that XRP hasn't run this cycle, it hasn't had any sort of serious pump, right? I mean, unless you want to say what happened with the July 13th, XRP victory day last year, if you want to count that because it went up like 100% roughly in 4 hours or so, fine. Outside of that, though, it really hasn't. XRP hasn't done anything. It's undervalued. That's the point. That's the time to be optimistic for the future. So at some point, again, like I said earlier in the video, you will hear me on this channel be like, XRP is overvalued. And that'll be around the time that I'll start scaling out of my position in XRP. Because that's the goal, to sell all of it. I like that. That would be the dream, to where I'm so enticed, the price is so high that I can't reasonably convince myself to hold on to even a single XRP. That would be the dream. Wouldn't you love that for yourself? I mean, I hope so. I know some of you always want to hold on to, even if it's just a smaller percentage, just forever, and do whatever you want to do. Yeah, I don't. I understand. I'm not critical of people that feel that way. Not at all. But for me, I'd probably just sell it all, and then, once the market craters, and it will, then I'll just buy back cheaper. But man, there's just so much to look forward to here. It's worth saying at a time like this, I have never been this optimistic as an XRP holder in my life, and this excited to hold the amount of XRP that I have. It's my largest individual crypto holding. It's gonna go insane. And even if we have to wait years, I'm so patient. Okay. Now, I don't think that's likely to occur, but sometimes the unlikely happens, the improbable. Like, we didn't think the SEC was going to attack Ripple and XRP holders in 2020. So sometimes that throws you a bit of a curveball. But it's not going to stay here forever. If we're wrong, it goes to zero, and fine, it could, but I don't think that's remotely probable. I was close to 100% sure at this moment in time that's not going to happen. Not literally, I'm not 100% sure about pretty much anything in life, but on the flip side, since it can't stay here forever, it goes to zero or a new all-time high. That's that. Cannot stay range-bound forever. It has been for 6.5 years, but it can't forever. It won't. People won't allow that. That's not how humans act. That's a reason, even not being a chart guy, I know that if you look at a symmetrical triangle, as you get to the apex, eventually it breaks one way or the other. It's not going to stay in a range forever. And sometimes formations can take literally years or decades to play out, depending on what asset you're talking about. Now, in crypto, things do move faster, so I understand people feel patient. XRP, 6.5 years, got it. Compared to, like, the stock market, though, 6.5 years is, I mean, it's nothing. It's like, it's nothing. You know, the people who are patient, those are the ones who end up making it. So either you'll have exposure when the thing runs or you don't. I'm just going to sit tight. I feel great about this. I understand as the market's been dipping today, you know, XRP got as low as 40 cents. Bitcoin got as low as 54,459. I get it. People are scared. But it doesn't matter. In the end, this does not matter. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.